Hi everybody and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you're returning, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk about the Cricut Explore 3 today. I'm going to be doing a basic project, so if Cricut is new to you or you're thinking about getting one, this is the video for you. So I've already gotten my Explore 3 set up. It was really super simple. They have step-by-step instructions. You hook it up to your laptop and it just walks you right through it. Very easy. So I've got it plugged in. We're going to just talk about it a little bit for a second here. So when you press this little button over here, it just has a very graceful way of opening it up. I'm easily entertained, but that just makes my heart happy. And inside you can see they've got a couple of little storage areas. These are magnets that help it stay closed here. And then you've got your cutting mechanism here. And this is where you load your vinyl. On this side, you have your power button and then your little control panel. So you have your load and unload button, I call it a play button. It looks like a play button to me, but it's the button to basically start, and you have a pause button here as well. Now, these buttons will blink and tell you exactly when you need to use them, which I think is amazing because, again, it made it so easy to figure out what you're supposed to do when, and I need that. So today I am going to be using some deep blue vinyl, and I'm going to be putting this on a mat. So I'm going to be showing you that in just a moment. Let's move our machine over for just a second. One thing, before I move it completely out of the way, one thing I do want to mention, when you are using your machine, you want to make sure that you have enough space on either side of your machine for the material to move in and out. Because as it cuts your project, it is going to move through the machine this way. So you want to make sure you don't have anything behind it. I've learned the hard way not to have anything behind it because it'll jam up your material if you get too close to something. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move this over for a moment. All right, so I have my deep blue vinyl and I'm going to go ahead and get it set up on my mat. And the mats that I have right now are 24-inch mats. They also 24-inch mats. They also have 12-inch mats if you prefer just to have a smaller mat. I opted to get longer mats because I knew that I would have the option of doing larger projects. So I'm going to go ahead and remove, this is the standard grip mat that I'm using. I'm going to remove the cover sheet here. I always reapply this to my mat when I'm not using it so that it keeps all of the dust or glitter or other things off of my mat and keeps it nice and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my vinyl to my mat. I'm lining everything up with the guidelines. It has a whole grid here on the mat to help you get everything lined up and straight. So I'm going to go ahead and press that on down. Now the great thing that Cricut has brought out recently, well, recent for me, it might have been around longer than I realized, but they have smart vinyl. So there are vinyl products that you don't even need the mat for. So if you look for smart vinyl, that'll load right into the machine. But I'm using regular vinyl for today. So I'm gonna bring our machine back over. And now let's go over to the Cricut Design Studio and see how we can create our first project. I'm going to be using it on my phone. You can also do it on the laptop. Here we are in the Cricut Design Space. I've opened up the app. In that top left corner, I'm going to select New Project. And down at the bottom left corner inside here, I'm going to select Images because they have a whole bunch of things that are already designed for us. I know I'm looking for something with a theme of dreaming of a white Christmas, so we're going to see what they pull up here. This is really a fantastic app. I've been really impressed with it so far. So I typed that in and you can see all of these different things that have come up that have to do with my search criteria. And I'm going to be using that top left design, but I just wanted to show you real quick to give you an idea. So I'm going to select the Dreaming of a White Christmas, select Insert down at the bottom right, and now it is on my canvas. So this is our workspace. Now, when I drag the bottom right corner with those arrows, I can make this bigger or smaller. I can also unlock it on the left bottom corner. And when I do that, it allows me not only to resize it, but to adjust the width, not necessarily in conjunction with the height. So hopefully you see what I'm talking about there. All right, so now I can also go into the little edit menu at the bottom and direct it exactly what size I want it to be. So my frame is going to be 8 by 10, so I wanted to make this a little bit smaller than that. And I am going to adjust it again in a little bit, but I've gone ahead and I've selected shapes down at the bottom menu, and I selected a square. I'm going to adjust this by unlocking it. I want to be able to create a frame excuse me, a frame around this so that I can make sure I have a straight edge all the way around my project that will also be the same size as my frame, because I want to be using the blue background, right? So I'm going to also change the color on this. We're going to fill it with white. And so now I have a white square. I'm going to adjust this a little bit more to have it fit nicely in here. And then I decided I wanted a little bit more background space around my words. So I'm just going to adjust it a little bit more. Now you can eyeball this and try and center it, but you could also go back into the edit menu down at the bottom. And if you scroll over, you can see there's an align button, and you can align it horizontally and vertically, and that is going to make it all centered. You just need to make sure you select all of your elements. And now I'm going to actions and attach, and that's going to tell it that I want to cut it all at the same time. Selected on mat, and now it's on my mat. I'm going to hit continue, connect it to my Explore 3, and now I'm going to select my material. I'm going to click on all material there in the middle. And I'm going to search again. I am using permanent vinyl, so I am going to type in vinyl and see what it pulls up here for me. And I'm going to select the permanent vinyl premium. Okay, so you can see that we have our little light is blinking here. So it wants me to go ahead and load the vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so it's got guidelines right here on either side, as well as you approach the machine, you tuck it right under those little feet, I'm going to call it, line it up, and press the load button. So it's going to load it, and now it's going to measure the material and make sure that I have enough material on my mat to work for the project. Okay, so once it's done measuring, it's going to decide that it's ready to go. So our little play button is blinking, and we're going to click on that, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to cut our project for us. And all the while, you're going to see it on the app showing you the progress that it's making. So right now it's cutting, and it'll let us know when it's done. Okay, so it's told me that it's completed. It's asked me to unload the mat, and our little light is blinking again. So I can press that. It unloaded it for me, and I can take it right off. So we're gonna go ahead, turn off our machine, close it up. Super easy. I'm gonna set our machine aside for right now. Now we can take our vinyl off our mat. I'm just gonna do it this way. It's a little trick I've learned, that if you put your vinyl down and pull your mat off, it is less damaging to your vinyl. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and put my sleeve back over top of my mat. Oops. Like I said, I like to keep I don't know why I'm doing it that way. I like to try and keep everything nice and clean because it is tacky, right? So that your vinyl sticks to it. And having a dog and a cat and everything else, I just like to make sure that none of that is going to get deposited on my mat. I have another tool here that Cricut has created, and it is a bright pad, and I love this because it helps me to see. So when I set my vinyl on top of it here, it just helps me to see what has not been weeded yet. Weeding is just the process of removing the vinyl that you don't want to be working with. So in this instance, as you know, I had cut a square around my image, and the reason that I did that, I actually am going to be keeping the background, and I'm going to get rid of the letters for this project. So you can do either way, depending on what your project is and how you're doing it. You might want to, so for instance, if you were making a stencil, you would want to do what I'm doing right now. But in this case, I want my letters to be white, but I want my background to be blue, and I didn't want to use paint. So this is the way I'm doing it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim away the excess vinyl real quick so that I don't have to waste that. And I'm going to do it just outside of my cut edge because I want to make sure that I keep my edge nice and perfect. And the machine cut my edge nice and perfect, whereas my hand cut line will not be so much. So I'm going to start by weeding just the outer edge by catching that corner. If I can here, let me catch another corner. There we go. And I'm just going to peel that away. So see how nice and crisp that edge is? Okay. And now, as I said, I am going to be keeping the background and getting rid of the actual words. So I'm going to use my little weeding tool. This is actually very sharp, so you just want to be careful. That's why I keep the little protector on it. And we're going to weed out all of the little letters. So just kind of catch it here and lift. Okay. Let's see if we can do another one here. And you just take your time, oops, and remove the letters. Try not to do what I just did and having the vinyl hit the piece that you've removed. You don't really want it to land on your design because this is, in this case, permanent vinyl, and if you aren't careful, it will stick and remain on your project. So we're just going to go ahead and weed the rest of this out just very carefully. And I don't know about other people, but I find weeding actually rather relaxing. So I don't mind taking a few minutes to take all of the vinyl letters away here. So the next thing we're going to want to do is use some transfer tape to get it up off of the backing, and so it's ready to put onto our project. We're going to use some of this transfer tape, and I'm just going to measure off a piece that's going to be a little bit larger than my project. So about here. And I love that they've got the grid lines on here. Helps me to keep it relatively straight when I'm cutting it. And it also helps with lining up the project and making sure that you've got everything straight. We've got our transfer tape. I'm going to take the backing off of this. And the transfer tape is something that I tend to use over and over again. So you don't have to toss it after each use. Just make sure you hold on to the backing that I'm peeling off right now, and you can use it again for your next project. Okay. So I'm gonna take a look at these little grid lines and see if I can make sure that I'm lining it up a little bit with my letters. Okay. And I'm not worrying about this. This is just something that's on the outside of the transfer tape that was from removing the new packaging because it was a brand new roll. So we're going to take our burnishing tool and we are just going to make sure that everything is really nice and attached to the transfer vinyl so that when we pull back the backing, it will stay on the transfer tape and release the backing paper, okay? And I especially want to make sure that any little tiny pieces, like inside the A, for example, or inside the O, are nice and adhered, because I don't want those to end up getting lost. I'm going to pull that up. And now I am just going to peel away the backing from my vinyl. Just checking, make sure. Yep, okay. There we go, and that worked really nice. Okay, I don't need this anymore because this is from my vinyl, and I'm not going to be needing the vinyl once it's on my project. So, right here I have a piece of foam core board that I have already prepped for the size of the project that I'm doing, and I'm using an old frame that I have from another project that I decided I wasn't going to use any longer. So you can use whatever frame you'd like. You can use whatever type of project you'd like. It doesn't have to be what we're doing right now, but this is really for demonstration purposes on how easy it is to use the vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and get my project ready. Static cling. And I'm going to line this up and center it as best I can on my project here. Now I probably could have made it a little bit larger than I did, but it's okay. Just going to get this lined up as best as we can and as centered as I can. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to burnish it again. And I'm starting from the center and working my way out so that I can do my best to get any air bubbles out. If you started burnishing it from the inside and worked your way in, if you had any air bubbles, they could release out of the letters, but I don't know, it's just the way that I do it. So just making sure that it is nice and stuck down to the foam core board. And different surface, it'll stick better to different surfaces than others. It really depends. I had, for example, a doormat that I was trying to do with a stencil, and because it's fibrous and bumpy, and that was a little challenging to get my vinyl to stick to that, right? But something like foam core, once you set it down, it's pretty much not coming off again. So I probably burnished it even more than I needed to. But I'm going to pull my transfer tape back, kind of at an angle, pulling it back. And just take your time, especially as you start approaching your cut areas. You want to just take your time so that you don't accidentally pull up some of what you intend to leave, right? And this is coming off quite nicely. All right, so again, I want to use this again someday, so I'm going to go ahead and place it back on its backing. Of course, I've got it all rolled up on itself here. Let's see if we can get this undone. There we go. So I'm going to stick it back on its backing to the best of my ability for the moment. I'll fix that a little bit more later. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to add a little bit more of an embellishment to this. So I just have these cute little snowflake stickers that one of my sweet subscribers, Rose, sent to me, and I am going to add these on to the project, just in however my eye seems to like it. So I'm going to take out a few of these and decide which ones I want to use and where I want to use them. there we go. Isn't that sweet? I think that's great. Set my glass down inside of there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and set my picture right like that. Now I'm gonna check it for a second. Make sure that it looks good, and I think it does. I think it looks super sweet. So now I could certainly use hot glue if I wanted to, but I think I'm actually going to use my staple gun. And these just have 1/4 inch staples in them, so I know that they're not going to go too far in through my project. So I'm just going to line this up, and I am going to get my 4 corners. And then I'll go through and give it a little bit more support around the edges. There we are. So there you go, super cute. I hope you like it as much as I do. So, and I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you. The Cricut Explore 3, I think is a fantastic machine, super easy to use. They've got fantastic design options already ready to go in the Cricut Design Studio, so you can start crafting immediately. But that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment below, and let me know what you thought. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.